know Connie, right?
Well, Jim does
So-
now.
Huh?
Jim does now. I mean, we
Jim does
introduced
now.
him, yes.
But I mean for the introduction, which I have right here, and now I don't see it. It's my
Well, that-
paper.
That's okay. Most everybody knows what.
Thank you so much, Jim. So glad you're here. Here, you can just read it. I'm not going to read it. Connie is just the most delightful woman. She's come graciously for a long weekend to help us be able to know more about Young Living. God, I'm going to cry again.
Oh
And
my
she
goodness.
is.
Tissues.
She's
There's an oil
so.
for that.
No, it's the emotion potion, right?
There you go.
And when she was talking about coming, and she said, "Is there anything that you would like to learn other than the business, which was mostly the focus?" And I said, "Yeah, I would love to know more about the digestive system and enzymes. It seems like the more I read and learn, the digestive system really has so much influence over every other part of our body. So I think that would be something great to learn about." So,
Good
Connie
choice.
McDonough.
You can cut it.
Yay.
Well, and then as we were visiting, we focused in on enzymes, which I came to recognize as a very important part of my own life just recently, about a year and a half ago, how important they really are. So we're focusing in on the enzymes today. However, they're so interconnected with all supplementation, and we'll look at that today so that we understand why. This is going to be a very informal presentation. I'm going to use a couple of things. I created for my own understanding, an analogy of a baseball game, because that helped me remember the intricacy of all the players in our digestive tract. But then I brought along something written by Catherine Fuller that you can actually get off of her site. It's the Biosensible site. And I'm actually going to read, she's a biologist as well as an ecologist, but from our microbiome, it's a very biochemical interaction. So I'm actually going to just read some of her notes, and I underlined them and wrote some notes myself that I thought would be very important for today. So if you don't mind, I thought that would be nice to add to your own notes, because I thought it was very interesting, and it helps us to understand, as Kathleen said, how important our digestive tract is. So we're going to do a combination of things today, but I think it'll come out with a great understanding. So for those of you that have to go, I think we'll start off with just the whole analogy, because it really tells us the great benefits of enzymes. And then for those of you that want a little more science, I actually brought the PowerPoint that Catherine Fuller shares about the chemistry of the microbiome and the importance of it, and then we'll share that after for those of you that want to stay. You have a handout here too with some of the key notes, and the first one is, does anybody know people with tummy troubles? And I think we've all probably...
Can we talk about ourselves?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we've all experienced ourselves, but it's a $50 billion business. And what people don't realize is most of their tummy troubles can be solved with simple supplementation of enzymes. And it's very interesting when we start looking at what
do you mean by
enzymes...
tummy troubles?
Anything from
Indigestion
feeling
or-
bloated to having gas
Okay.
to
Right.
just feeling
Full.
full, just upset stomach.
Okay.
People that are popping Tums.
How about people who eat a meal and then have to go to the bathroom like within 20 minutes? And-
Well, yeah, possibly, because you want that efficient digestive
Cycle, yeah.
tract. So it depends. Sometimes that's good, meaning it's efficient,
No,
and
it's a
sometimes
bad
it. Oh, so then it's
It
just,
just goes right through.
so then, yeah, that would be an issue, yeah. So because it's not having enough time for the absorption.
Exactly.
So we'll kind of tie this all in,
Okay.
hopefully, to the end. But let me just look at some of these notes and just share just 3 examples of how important it is, and then we'll get into more of the details. It talks about 95 million Americans have digestive problems, which accounts for 37 million doctor visits. And this comes from the research of the Medical University of South Carolina. So that tells us it's incredibly important that we share some information about the benefits that supplementation can bring us. And most of the time what the medical university says is that just simple supplementation can take care of these issues. And when we think of what enzymes are, they're really responsible for almost every chemical catalyst in our body. So they're very important for every function, and we don't realize its importance. The notes say lack of enzymes can be the culprit for fat gain, higher cholesterol, tummy troubles, and a multitude of other issues. Here's some examples. Lipase, which is an enzyme, breaks down fats. And this enzyme catalyzes the specific constituent of triglycerides. And remember, if that goes up, that's bad cholesterol. And so people who are deficient in lipase may have the condition of high cholesterol, and it can easily be taken care of. Now, I have a story of my own. As I came into my 50s, I was active, I ate properly, but suddenly my cholesterol was higher to the point where they are kind of saying, well, you should watch it. And I'm going, well, what the heck? What has changed? I'm still doing the same things. Well, as we age, our enzymes are depleted. And so it's an anti-aging thing, as I realized when I started supplementing with enzymes, obviously I was getting lipase because now my triglycerides went down and, within that 3 months, and I'm going, oh, that was way cool. Because I was doing everything, we're never perfect, but I was doing right things for my body. And it was just strange that my cholesterol would go up. And that made sense then when the enzymes took care of it. Also, digesting fat properly also helps us absorb those fat-soluble vitamins that we need. Vitamin D, which all of us need more vitamin D up north, don't we? And vitamin E. And these are all stored in the liver. And so they're important for our eye health, calcium absorption, proper blood clotting, and many other things. So think of the little intricacies of the importance of that. Another example is carbohydrates.
Can I just ask you something?
Yes.
So are you saying that specific enzymes help to regulate how those vitamins are absorbed into our system?
They're part of the intricacy to be, so the body can utilize them. Mm-hmm. Yep. And also as they break, the opposite is as they break down fats, they help the fat be used for energy versus going to belly fat or cholesterol.
So it helps that break down.
Yeah, exactly. So going to the carbohydrate example, I thought this was so interesting. Glucose is our primary metabolic fuel, okay? And I think that's kind of general biology that we all know. But what I thought was really cool, it's the only fuel used by the brain cells. And it comes from complex carbohydrates. And our neurons can't store that. So that's why it's important to have those small meals through the day of, for our fruits and our vegetables and our maybe some grains and that, so that it constantly fuels those brain cells. I thought that was way cool. And it also, some of the properties help us to maintain good weight. And also this one, galactose, is the basis for athletes to perform better and longer. I thought that was way cool because my husband, who was an Ironman triathlete, he's always been an enzyme enthusiast. And he is always saying because it helps the body perform better, but I never really got that. And now when I read this, how important it is that this very specific enzyme helps that body perform longer and better. So I thought that was way cool because there's so many young athletes who don't realize that. And enzymes can be so important. So those are just a few examples of why we want to look at that today. There's many more examples, but just to get us started. Well, for me, I wanted to look at how do I remember this information. So I was thinking of baseball, and if we think of our whole digestive system as the players involved, and then our good nutrition as the pitcher, because we're pitching that good, good food into us, now what happens in the body? What happens in the body? So that we can explain this to other people, the importance, without going through a scientific presentation. We can just explain it very easily. So it would have been great, but since I flew here, I didn't bring my catcher's mitt and my balls. But if we think of the balls as the substrate, that can be our carbs, our proteins, our sugars, our fiber, whatever it is, and the enzyme as the catcher's mitt, we understand that the substrate has to lock into the catcher's mitt, but now it just sits there. It'll fall out if the squeeze doesn't happen, right? And the squeeze is all the coenzymes, the vitamins or whatever that gives it the fit. And we're going to look at how that works biologically, but that's the fit. And so we have the substrate coming in, the enzymes, the catcher's mitt, but now you need the other environmental things, the vitamins, the proper water hydration, the pH. That's why we need to eat good foods so we're not acidic, that it needs the proper pH. It needs all of that to do this nice little close. And then it does its thing. Because what happens if the pitch happens and we don't have the enzymes with the proper substrate, we get a lot of foul balls, literally. That's when the tummy troubles start, because we don't have everything working as a team in there. So I hope that helps, that analogy helps to explain the value. And if you forget, I wrote it out for you so that we know how that whole thing works. And then if you look at the second page of notes, I just want to really, these are the benefits that we get from proper enzyme supplementation, is that it breaks down the fats in our blood. So this is what was going on in my body. Because I didn't have the enzymes, my fats weren't being broken down properly, so then my cholesterol was going up. And so you can see once I had the enzymes again, it breaks down the fats in the blood, which regulates then the cholesterol. So if you know somebody with cholesterol issues, it's a really good thing to suggest. Of course, there's other things. I mean, they have to eat right and exercise. Health is always a combination of lifestyle. It's never one thing. There's no one magic bullet. You have to focus on total lifestyle. So it's the players working together, right, Betty Jo?
As you're saying that, I'm thinking of the people that come in and go, I need to lose weight. You got a pill?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have some pills, but let's talk about some other things first.
Exactly. And you want, for vitality, you have to have each lifestyle piece, including, reducing stress. Because if your cortisol is high, you're going to get more belly fat too. So it is truly all total lifestyle. The next one is, of course, breaking down all of the substrates, whether it's carbs, proteins, fats, whatever have you, into the units so that the body can actually use them for maintenance, repair, and function. Energy is a big thing for me. That's one thing I noticed is my energy level stayed well. I was doing everything right before, but without the enzymes. And there again, because of aging, our enzymes get less. So it wasn't that I changed anything, it was just process. And so I can support my body by supplementing the enzymes. Absorption of oxygen, that one's interesting to me. Fighting infections and healing wounds, that one really was a eye-opener for me, because when you look at the whole healing process, it makes sense. Reducing inflammation, because one thing we want to do is always be exercising and working out, and of course that causes inflammation of the body, and so we want to counter that with antioxidants, but we also want to have our enzymes to support those processes. Dissolving blood clots, carrying away toxic waste, proper hormone regulation. Interesting. Slowing the aging process, weight maintenance, and then of course rendering tummy troubles. When we think of anti-aging, again, it's an all-encompassing lifestyle approach. If we want to be younger next year, and continue to be younger next year. Have you seen those 90-year-olds that are still running the Boston Marathon? You know, it's like, what is that? Well, they're looking at the whole lifestyle approach. They're exercising, good nutrition, supplementing according to how they eat and their own needs, and doing all of the lifestyle approaches together. And that's how we age young. And that's, I think, my new mission, I guess you say, is that we want to encourage each other, that age doesn't matter. We can be young in our 90s if we continue doing the things now. Because if we start now, we affect how we are 10 years from now, we affect how we are 20 years from now. And even if we're 80% good, we can still live it up that 20% and have great results. And so that's the value that I find when we really focus on the beautiful lifestyle support that Young Living can give us. It supports us in each of the areas that we need to concentrate on. And
Two huge age groups right now that are missing this are the
Bless
very,
you.
very young, because
Yes.
that generation is, they say is gonna live 10 years less than we will, and the 30-year-olds. They're all starting their families, they don't have a lot of money to eat well, they're busy and all of that, and it's those are two, I mean, our age group too, but we still had the good food available to us in the times and that type of thing, where those are two huge age groups that can use it, and they're starting to get worried about it.
yes, yeah. And I think that's a really good point too. And the other thing, as we know, if we don't start the foundation of all lifestyle with the healing home, we negate everything we try to do well. Because if we have things in our home that are affecting our endocrine system, toxins in our personal care, toxins in our cleaning products and so on, it negates every good thing we're trying to do. I don't care how many enzymes you take, if you're messing your endocrine system, nothing matters. So you have to start with that foundation of a healing home where your personal care products are healthy, your cleaning products are healthy, your foundation is supporting your whole endocrine system. Now you throw in nutrition, you throw in support, and now your body's really going to respond. But those toxins can even hold weight, because they hold right in that fatty tissue. It affects brain function because they bioaccumulate in fatty tissue, brain, breast, ovaries, prostate. So you want to make sure that you have a healing home to support that. Now your nutrition is going to do something. So anyway.
That's very helpful.
Oh, no, go ahead, go ahead.
With Betty saying too about the 30-year-olds and the limited budget and that brings me to some real specific questions in regard to Young Living, which you've started to answer with the healing home. But where do you start? Where do they get the biggest bang for their buck in
Mhm.
improving their health? Now, I realize it's a huge question, but
Mhm.
just, let's assume that it's a typical, somewhat healthy. Yes, you can talk about the other pieces, but do you start with the oils? Do you start with the healing home? Do you start with the supplementation? And are enzymes the first supplementation, or is it the multi, or?
I always suggest start with your home. So
Okay, the
so
healing
that-
home that you just
that
discussed.
healing home, Thieves starter pack takes care of your whole home, and it lasts. The cleaner lasts well over a year, so you don't even have to budget that anymore.
Sure.
The hand soap, many months, especially if you teach your family to do a half squirt versus a full squirt. And, there's a few things that might have to be replaced, but your toothpaste, months and months. And so that really takes care of a lot. So then the next step I would suggest then is the key supplementation. And that's where definitely your omegas, your omega Gi's is huge for health, brain health, joint, everything. It's foundational. Your enzymes are foundational.
And the difference between the essential zyme and the essential zymes 4?
I would do most
Sorry.
people, most people, the essential zyme 4 is a complete, like a multiple enzyme. And we won't go into the specifics today, but I can get that to you because like your detoxime, your essential zyme, taking those at different times and for different purposes is good. But it's easy for people if they're just starting essential zyme 4, it's a multiple, then don't
Okay.
worry about it. Because sometimes if we overcomplicate it for people, they go, I don't know what to do. So just say, take this with every meal. At least they start. And
But,
then,
but you don't need the detoxime before you, this is where I get confused. What are the specifics for each
start
of
with the essential zyme 4. And if we have time today, we can kind of go into that, but we'll finish kind of the basics so you have something to tell people, very simple, easy manner.
When you say essential zyme 4 is multiple, do you mean like a multiple vitamin thing?
It has multiple enzymes in it for your proteins, your
So
fats,
it's
your
more
sugars,
well-rounded
yeah,
package.
it's everything you need. Well-rounded package, I like that, Chris. Yeah.
Because you can also take, just like
But
she
I
was
shouldn't
talking about.
compare it to, I know what it is, 'cause-
Okay,
but I just wasn't sure if you were saying also vitamin, using the word vitamin as opposed to some other descriptor.
Multiple enzyme,
Multiple.
multiple enzyme, yep. And we'll look at that when we view the PowerPoint too for more specifics, because it goes into the specifics. But for just somebody just starting, the Essential Zyme 4 is just very easy, it covers everything. It's a great
Okay, so
way
you
to
said
start.
Omega Blue, essential zyme 4.
Yep, and then if they can afford it, the Ningxia Red, I feel, is foundational, because it has the oils infused with the dark berries. And remember when we talked about that
Yes.
carbon factor, it cleanses, but then your assimilation factor, you're gonna get better assimilation because the oils are in the nutrition.
Okay,
And then
Now-
if they can afford it, I just always like to do a shake, because
okay,
so we live in such a fast world, and sometimes we'll have a salad, but that really doesn't cover everything. So like if we're doing fast food, let's just have a shake and a salad then or something, you know,
sure.
just to make sure that we have the key nutrients and the fiber, because Balance Complete has 11 grams of fiber, and fiber is what we're mostly lacking, because the apple is 2 grams of fiber. So we have to really focus on fiber, and sometimes we're living too fast and we don't give it. So I always suggest Balance Complete myself,
But
there's
that's a separate supplement, that's not the shake, correct?
I call
I'm
Balance
still-
Complete is the
Is the
shake.
shake, okay. I'm sorry, I'm just still trying to
No,
get
no,
all the
I'm glad you
terminology
asked
down.
that, because
Okay, yeah.
sometimes we say it so often, we think everybody knows what we're talking about.
And there's so much discussion today about the protein shakes. Is this heavy in the protein, or, I know it's a meal replacement and well-rounded.
Excellent question. The Balance Complete has 7 grams of protein.
7,
Yep,
okay.
now, if somebody wants a protein supplement, the pure protein and the power meal both have 20 grams of protein. The pure protein is based on whey, and it's a pure whey. It's from certified grass-fed dairy, and that's important because most of your whey is from
Okay.
dairy that has been given antibiotics and hormones, which lowers testosterone in men and increases breast cancer risk for women. So it's very important that you know your protein source is pure. That's why we love the pure protein. And when I do feel like I need more protein, I'll put a scoop of the Balance Complete in and a scoop of the pure protein in for my shake. Yeah. The power meal is based on brown rice. And again, it's a good source of brown rice because brown rice protein has some bad press because there is some contaminated sources. But Young Living does always make sure they have a pure source.
So these don't come from a wheat base at all then? There's no kind of...
Well, that's a good question. I
Because,
don't.
because I've been trying to do the wheat belly thing, so...
Yeah, you'll have to look at the
All right.
specific ingredients to see if it has the things that you're looking
Okay.
for. That's a good question, Chris. I just don't know the answer off the top of my head.
That's fine.
But
I
then
know
you
how
can
to read.
educate me. Then you can educate me on that. So, we've been doing these shakes for years and years, and they're very, very good support. And now Michael and Maura are training for a triathlon together. I'm secretly training. I'm hoping to surprise them. But that's one good support because you don't feel that lightheadedness and so on when you're working out if you do your shake ahead of time, and then it's not heavy.
So heavy, right.
Yep. And then also another good secret is to put the Ninja Red with your water as you work out because it feeds the muscles during exercise and keeps that glucose nice and
You
level.
mix it in your water? Is
Yep.
that what you do? Oh.
Yep, and then you keep drinking it so you have that endurance during exercise, but you have the 4-to-1 ratio after so that you don't have that lactic acid buildup. And Michael always suggests taking sulfurzyme. And I love sulfurzyme for just the anti-aging of joint health and good hair and all that. However, the sulfurzyme really helps for fitness recovery, so it's very good for young athletes as well as athletes our age because it helps with recovery as well. Even my daughter takes sulfurzyme. So anyway, so now we'll get back to the enzyme specifically because if we're looking at health, anti-aging, athletic ability, fitness, and everything, our digestive tract, going back to how Kathleen introduced us, our digestive tract is foundational for everything, from children to 90-year-olds. It doesn't matter. Our digestive tract is where our health begins. And enzymes are a big part of that, as we had looked at. So now, if we can stop here for the informal part, and then we can start the PowerPoint to kind of see how that baseball game really works, and we'll tie it back in. Otherwise, those of you that have to go can go. But
How long is it, Connie?
Oh, it's probably 40 minutes.
Oh,
45 minutes.
We'll watch as much as, yeah?
Yeah, and just feel free to go.
Yeah.
So,
Connie, I was gonna say, there's barley grass.